Welcome to the Flicks Picks in the Nitpicks, and I am your host, S01EP03. Yeah, and let's just get to it, man. I'm watching the boys, right? And I'll be honest with you, I'm finally getting caught up, and I am totally digging this series. It's a series that I cannot lie is way more impressive than I anticipated. A lot of people have talked about it and how good it is. You know, I've seen Doom Patrol, and actually I'm like maybe like an episode or two away from finishing it, which is weird because I actually really love Doom Patrol, but so much hours in a day, and I'm recording and producing and doing other types of stuff, and I'm trying to work on some joint ventures with other folks. So even with this worldwide vacation, it's allowed me to be able to do so much, but it's still a lot I gotta catch up on, because like I told you guys, I stretch myself a lot. But I'll be honest with you, this is gonna be a good time for me to really start pacing myself out with all the things that I'm actually interested in and things that I'm actually working with. Literally, I take seriously as if it is a job. So with that being said, let's just get to the review of the boys. This should be episode 3, and again, another. First off, I just wanted to talk off. A lot of people have been talking about the boys, and adequately so, rightfully so, because it's actually a really good series. You know, it's not too uncommon like Doom Patrol, where we're doing something very creative with the genre of superheroes that takes it outside of its normal area, and now it's a legitimate genre of film and TV making, because now there's so much you can do with it that can make it kind of intersect with other types of genres. You can have a superhero film that's adventure based. That's always usually been the case. But then you can have a superhero film that's more like dramatic. You can have some that's more like a thriller. You have some that are like, this is like a legit dramedy, if you will, in a lot of senses, and it balances it so well within the genre of being a superhero film. And then when you finally get to the legitimate action sequences, it's actually taking it there. So without question, this is actually a very well balanced series that actually carves itself out its own personal identity that rises above many, but most importantly leaves itself extremely distinct from all others. You know, the only thing that's pretty much close to it, I would actually say, is that's out right now would be Doom Patrol. So, like, let's just give a brief overview. We won't get too spoilery just yet, but we'll just get into an overview of it, where we are at a point now where we're getting to know A-Train a lot better, okay? And we're going to start to deal with more of his situation with taking the V. We're going to figure out what the V is actually. I have some personal speculations, but we're going to discuss it really delves into the V and how it's done, and then you realize how involved he is into it in terms of being a player into it. Now, in terms of Homelander, this is where we finally get to see who the real Homelander is. And not that we haven't seen it so far. We know for the most part he's a walking veneer. You know, he's all cheese and teeth for the camera. He's a walking politician. We already know this. There's something kind of childlike out of him that is just hard to really explain. This series deals with how a corporation could utilize any situation and make it spin it towards a narrative most appropriate for the masses to consume, and also to further the agenda of the corporation void. And it's like well done. how they actually deliver it. We're gonna really start dealing more with Jack Quaid's character Huey as he gets to know Miss January. I believe her name might be Star Girl. And then we even get more insight into the deep. And let's be clear, one thing, we'll get into pics about it, but I just want to talk about it, the deep. There is so much more to this character in a very quirky way, but in a very ridiculous way, but it's such a parody of who Aquaman is and the jokes surrounding Aquaman that, to be quite fair and honest, I didn't even know it was that much of a joke about him. I mean, you see it on certain like TV outlets, people making little comments, but I didn't know as much it was a thing, because reading the books and stuff like that, I've never had people like comic shop and talk about it. It's always been like people outside of the genre, if you will, that seems to be making jokes about Aquaman, and it's only been ramping up as of late, at least in my world. But when you get to know the deep, you'll figure out exactly how deep he is. But for the most part in this episode, it's really going to be surrounding about the band quote unquote called the BoyS, and see how they start to develop themselves as this team and work together. And you'll see the diverse personalities balancing back and forth. And Milk and Frenchie already has a pre-existing history with Butcher from prior, and this seems to be now, I don't know if you would say a chapter 2 in their world, which I like because it's already a lived-in world. This is them starting all over again and trying to balance their path while also including Frenchie, someone in the future, someone that's part of this new timeline in terms of where they're going as a team forward. He's now a new member of the team. So let's just really is that like, I like to think that that's the best overview without really spoiling it. It's just gonna be, this is just an episode that's follows A-Train figuring out exactly where and how he operates the drug V, which is basically like nothing but like a narcotic, if you will, or rather more of a steroid for supers that boost their powers, because as we get to know him, he's really, this is pretty much his thing. He always wanted to be on this team, and he's not trying to lose it. And that's where we start to get a little bit more interesting development with him. Then you have, because it opened up with getting to know the Butcher had a wife. He had a past. You know what I'm saying? But, he's dreaming and whatnot about what he once had. His wife, and I believe it seems to be that he just stalks her. Or it was an ex-girlfriend, but it seems like he just stalks her from afar. And classic tropes. Back in the day, he was clean shaven. Now he's bearded and dirty, and basically so consumed with taking down supers that's he can't even really interrelate with any other female due to the danger around it, and probably some from past stories from before. And then you have Milk. Milk is a funny dude. When you see him on the phone with his girl, and I have a feeling that might be the gag, you damn near never see her the whole scene, but you would think he's like simping or a wimp, but he actually lets you know why he is the way he is in his dynamic with Frenchie. Frenchie likes a lot of different chicks, and maybe that's more because he wants to facilitate the life that he has, because he can't really get too close to anyone. Look at the world he lives in. But Milk, he's like a counselor for kids at I think a correctional facility for kids. So he's a leader. He wants to do something developing in his community, but he has this history of taking down supers. And when he gets brought back into it, and clearly there's a reason why he really is with the shits, because No one comes up to you and say, yo, let's go after these superhero guys, and you just with it all out the blue. But because he's done it before and he's motivated elsewhere for it, he's back into the game. But the thing is when he's on the phone with his girl, he is a brand new dude. But he explains like, look, I love my girl. I don't need a bunch of different women. All I need is one. Look at what a whole bunch of girls could do. You know what I'm saying? That's my woman. And you could kind of tell she makes him normal, which he needs. But the fact that he gravitated so easily back towards this is just who he is. So she creates the atmosphere that he wants. But all of this stuff with the boys, a lot of that's just really who he is. He's just with the shits. And I think that really is expressed in this episode, especially in the conversation in the van with Frenchie. And there's a new character, and you have to figure out that once you watch the series, because I do not want to spoil it. But what I do want to tell you is it's a very good episode. Now this is where you can see it's ramping up. 1 and 2 was pretty much setting the stage with these guys as they meet and link up and all of that, and how it lynches off for this new incarnation of the boys. Not to say that they call themselves the boys but from before, but like I said, 3 of these guys already had a history doing this type of shit from before. And then it seemed like Butcher was doing this thing for a minute, and after getting in contact with Huey, he wants to get Frenchie and bring the gang together. And we already know that Frenchie and Milk has a history from prior. That's why he doesn't like him. And this will rise to the top. And Frenchie is another character that, just as eccentric as he is and kind of like rude and crude, live this rude, crude, dark underbelly of the world, but he knows so much. He's not a dumb guy. And as time goes on, you see what kind of man he is. So when you see that why he hops from girl to girl, when you get to the point at a crucial part in the film, in the series, I should say, in this episode, I should say, where we get to understand the method to his madness a little bit. And that's the thing that I like about that. When we get to, they're peppering it in properly to get to know these characters. And before I even go into the spoilery, let's just get off this extra point. There's another thing where we see Homelander and Queen Maeve. We start to realize their dynamic so much more, and you realize the furthest extent that Homelander as a character can go, and maybe a lot further than you would have probably anticipated, seeing how, even though he's something of a dick, you get to see how far that really goes. And when we get to the end, it's just, but that's about it. Now let's just get into the spoilers real quick. So I hope you guys seen it. Because if you haven't, please stop right now. Please stop right now. Pause it here. And then come back so we can jump back into the non-spoilery stuff. So I'm giving you a minute. Now let's do it. Spoilers. This episode gives so much more flavor to these characters. So I'm going to go into the picks. One of the major picks to me is, again, Mother's Milk and Frenchie. We get to understand that when it comes to Mother's Milk, he is, again, like I said from prior, he has a history with these guys already. But one thing about Frenchie, he doesn't want to work with him at all. At all. But in tracking A-Train to the environment in which he hustles the drug, we find out that Well, that's more like I'm thinking to myself. I don't want to say what I think. I want to go more into what happened. And what happens is that let me just get that point out the way. We already know that he goes down. He goes out of his way to go find the boys. Go find where the V is being produced at by surveilling A Train, and we find out that where the drugs is, they had encaged the mystery woman, and this mystery woman is a super. But she's more about speed, durability, and she could beat your ass. But most important, she's so strong that she could really put her hands into your body and rip out you. Like she can knock your whole head off. In finding her, they were completely shocked to find her. They even the thing is when they got to the place to find the V, that's where they found her in the cage. So this mystery woman, she's Asian, in the cage, doesn't speak no English. Frenchie was compelled to open up the cage to let her out, and that's when she done beat everybody the fuck up and not like rip people heads. So it got to a point where my man, one of the guys with the guns that was like, I guess, running surveillance on her, he just said fuck it. When after he seen that mess that she made of all of his homies, he looked at her and just said fuck all that and popped himself in the head. And I wasn't even mad at my man for doing that. He was like, I don't want no work, baby. You ain't even gotta make a mess of me. I'm gonna try at least still have me an open casket. Pop. And put himself to sleep. So, and when she ran out the cage and did all of that, Frenchie and Milk just pulled themselves into her cage and locked themselves in because she was about to go to town on them. And then when he locked himself in the cage, she left. They go call the butcher, and he comes down there and sets them free, and we're off to the races. Now we have another story going on running at tandem now, because Huey exchanged numbers with January or Annie, I should say. I think her name is Annie January, and they're about to go on a date. Now he didn't want the butcher, because when they all got down there to figure out what was going on, because Huey came down there with the butcher, he's looking at the phone getting texts from Annie. And for Annie looks at Huey as a doorway to her more simpler past. Before the whole sex scene, or rather pretty much a rape scene with or through coercion with the Deep, you see her transition into a whole other kind of woman. The world is darker and she's starting to accept it. The small time girl that always wanted to be part of the Seven, she is a grown woman realizing that this world is way darker. The world is way darker than where the small town that she is from, which is exactly where Huey's from, because they know each other from back in the day. But it's like people you knew from high school. I ain't seen you in years, and yeah, you know what I'm saying. So they're just trying to reacquaint each other, and that's the reason why Huey is so small town nice. That's who Annie used to be. But being in the Seven has opened her up to the world and seen past the veneer. This ain't cool. Like, this ain't no cool world. This is a very cruel world. And these superheroes, the people that you think are nice and doing this for the benefit of others, have ulterior motives, and so much more self-involved. So the attraction between Annie and Huey is not really a surprise, but I think this is where you get a lot of good acting and dramatic comedy from, because they're small town, simple, and they're both actually growing up. When his girl died, he started to realize that, the world is not a good place, and you're going to have to adapt to it. And him killing Translucent was kind of the birthing of him in a way, kind of like Neo in the Matrix, they're taking the red pill now. And they're coming up out of this dream state of everything is all nice in my small town. It's just something out of like an 80s sitcom. And that's not the case in the world. And the thing about this is, as even Annie starts to talk to the people that she's starting to look at like that, y'all a lot more fucked up than I anticipate in terms of these superheroes. As she's starting to learn them being a part of the team, you start realizing that there's a lot more gray to these characters than meet the eye. And we see that dramatically played with the Deep, even with a lot of comedic value to it. So when he sees the phone going off and the butcher's like, who's that? And he's like, yo, man, you better let me know before I snatch that phone type shit. And he's like, look, it's Annie. Oh, so you got each other's numbers. Yeah, you were supposed to go out. He was like, nah, go out with her. Yeah. And I want you to tap her, like put something on her so we could tap her, so we could always find out what's going on. But Huey doesn't really want that. She reminds him of the world that he used to be in, just like Huey reminds her of the world that she used to know, that she was from. And this is where we start to realize that there's a lot more chemistry between them. And as they start to get to know each other a lot more, we'll see where that will start to splinter, because they're both kind of hiding things from each other, especially Huey more than her. Because when they go out on a date, go bowling, he is still stuck with the fact that he killed someone. He feels like he's lying to her, not telling her. He kind of likes her. He's still conflicted because he's doing this for his girl, but he's out on a date with this new chick that he likes that's from his world. And it's like, you could kind of see he has such a conflict of emotions, and I think that was well played by Jack Quaid, because you could see all the emotions going through him. And as a guy it's almost like, let's say Rose Nyland from Golden Girls came from St. Olaf, this small town, and instead of her always just being in her world, she is starting to turn into a darker creature than what she once was. And even she's starting to not so much fight it, but she still wants to go back to St. Olaf sometimes and just be like, you know what, fuck all that. I was good in my small mother effing town. I don't want to fuck with this shit. I liked looking at y'all, believing that there was so much more to you guys. And now that I'm here, I'm realizing you're no different than the bad guys we're fighting. And I'm not even sure if we actually, who's the bad guys at this point? Us for lying to the public? Us for creating this facade, this veneer, or even if we're saving people, we're just treating it as just a business. There's no real, like, we out here to save the people and care. That's not necessarily the case. That world is extremely gray, and gray with nothing but politics. And as we carry on throughout the episode, we start to see that the development of all these characters, especially the threaded storyline with Homelander trying to save a plane that was about to go down, and he flew up, took Maeve up there, and it's about to come down. For whatever reason, he when he broke in, I think it was hijacked and they was fighting in the cockpit, he ended up using his lasers and he killed them, but also killed the pilot. Everybody's dead in the cockpit, but more so than that, the laser went through them and hit the control panel, to the point where when he looked at Maeve and she was like, can you fly this? Because he was like, yo, go outside and fly this plane and land this plane. He was like, I can't do that. He was like, literally, the trajectory of which is falling, I can't really just nah, it don't work like that for me. And she was like, can you fly the plane? No, I zapped that shit. So what do we do? Then just fly and grab everyone out and fly them down. He was like, I literally can't do that. You know how much people's on this plane? I can't fly, go down, land everyone and do that like that. I can't. So he's just looking at her, and the plane is gonna fall. It's still falling. And he's like, yo, he already knows what it is. Look, this shit gotta fall. I can't save him. even if I wanted. And I don't think he really cared to. He would have to show face, but he was like, the way I can't do it. I can't just come out and just fly this plane upwards and land it like, and I like how he approached it. It was like, literally, it's just not a cartoon. Like, that's not how my shit work. I can't do that shit. So there was no other alternative. You was gonna have to let this shit fall. And that's when Maeve, you start to look at Maeve, like, Maeve is an asshat too, but you could tell that wasn't really her initial mission. She kind of probably was once an Annie. She might have came in hopeful, thinking I was going to help, and over time you realize, oh, this is a business, and I think she adjusted to it. But the shit on the plane let her realize, like, we're really... like, this is as far as we're gonna go. Like this was like she crossed. You could kind of tell that. I feel like she's crossed lines, but this was something else. Like, she could cross lines with the bad guys, but I don't know how to cross this line, because everybody was hoping that they looked to them for hope, and he was like, "Yo, back up." When people, people scared, they're like, "Yo, you gonna just fly off him? You gonna help us? You gonna save us?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna save you." And he's looking at me like, "Man, bitch, if you don't hold my hand and I could fly us both to safety." And she's just like conflicted, looking at the people, and people scared, so they run up towards him. He's like, "Yo, don't let me laser you motherfuckers down." And now they realize, oh, who they really fucking with. These superheroes don't care. And then one of the ladies was like, "Yo, just please take my daughters, save my daughters." And Homelander's like, "Nah, I can't." Like, if he was to take the girls down, they would tell the story. They all had to go. They all had to go. They would have seen how he was carrying on. They would have seen that this would have really exposed the supers for who they were the whole time. And to be honest, in a way, he was kind of right. And he looked at Maeve, you got to make a choice. You going to stay on this plane or you going to grab my hand? And Maeve went with him. And at the very end, we see the plane crash, and she sees the doll of the little girl, and you could tell it's really fucking with her. Like, nah, I think we went too far. And Homelander's like, fake crying, turns around and makes this awesome speech in front of everyone that make Maeve look at this nigga like, you fucking kidding me? This is who we are. Now I want to get into the picks. Like I said, the major picks was, there's a dynamic between Frenchie and Milk. That's why I really wanted to touch on, where Milk ends up, when they go track down the Asian girl that was in a cage, he finds her in, Port Authority, watching kind of on TV, and she was hiding in some shop, some Asian shop, where they was watching the same thing that she was watching, that kind of made her calm in her cell. So when he heard the series, he was like, I know she's in here somewhere. And Frenchie finds us kneeling down, and he ends up talking to her. Like, he's like, I know how you feel. Because the reason why they even know to run the Port Authority or what direction to go, because he told them, I know where she's going. Just by watching what she's watching, she just wants to go back home. So he goes down there and finds her and tells her his story. How someone he thought that came to save him from where he was from, to take care of him and basically love him and adopted him, really just kept them in their house and raised them in torture. But a lot of other implications that I don't want to really touch on too much right now, because I'm not 100% sure, but Frenchie is a lot more of an interesting character. But you could tell that he went through abuse. He was a prisoner, and he knew. And he said, every time I knew, I just wanted to go home. And I think he shined on that. That's where the drama starts coming from. It comes right out of that. And he has that quiet moment with her, shows her the scar on his leg, and it seems like they're having a quiet moment, but then she ends up running away and from him. And that's when we get into the next the direct pick of this, like I said, Frenchie and Milk, because I think this one is more concerning with Frenchie, and I think Frenchie deserves his own space as a pick. But once you get into Mother's Milk and Frenchie now, he gets mad because what he was supposed to do was just gas her. He didn't want to gas her. He wanted to talk to her because he's projecting. He's been her. He just wanted to save her. That's the reason why she got out the cage in the first place. When he went down there, saw her in the cage, he was like, nah. He was like, yo, we ain't come down here for that. That's what Milk said. We ain't come out here for that. Let's get what we got to get and leave her, and we can deal with that later type shit, but that's not the mission. He deviated from the mission, and that's how she jumped out the cage and killed everyone in there, and things got a lot more messy. They could have just focused on the drug. Once she escaped, A-Train was going to figure out that someone knew and someone ratted, and there was only one other person that knew where the V was, his ex-girl. Next pick. Let's just touch on A-Train and his girl. I wasn't sure when A-Train came to ask her about, yo, what it is. How the hell they even knew about the V? Someone was talking and it had to be you, because I know it wasn't me. And he trying to put the squeeze on her, and she's like, she looked like shit now because she's hocked up on the shit. And you know, she expresses like, yo, like he's like, yo, you my girl doing that sweet talk shit. She's like, nah, man, I seen you on the TV talking about like you taking applications out here. And he's like, nah, man, you know that's for the TV. And I'm thinking he's just sweet talking her, and I'm thinking he was gonna go kill her because he didn't believe her. But he's like, it don't even matter. You're gonna have to go get your things and come with me, because now shit hit the fan. But the reason why I picked it was the dynamic between the two, because I thought he was gonna kill her. But I actually really think that they have something a lot stronger than at times they may posture. It almost seems like he's using her, but he has genuine feelings for her, I do believe. Not 100% sure, but when we get there, we'll get there. Now, I want to really discuss the conversation in the train station between Frenchie and Milk, because when Frenchie loses her again, well, I won't say again because it was his reason why she even escaped, and he was mad at him for that because he was like, yo, wasn't the mission to save her? We didn't even know she was here type shit. When Frenchie sees her and he could have gassed her, and he loses her, when he chases after her and he can't find her because she's faster than him, Milk is like, yo, you had her? So he said, yo, you gassed her? Why didn't you gas her? He's like, I didn't want to do that. And he's like, yo, your fault. He said, I can't work with you. He said, this is the fuck why I never, this is what happened last time. And then they start to divulge the fact that they basically, he used to botch missions because he used to not stick to the plan. And he was like, yo, that's why Milk was like, see, I didn't want to work with this nigga. Basically, in a nutshell, they had a team before, and I believe they let it be known that, yo, they lost some people in their team, or there were some casualties to the fact that Frenchie doesn't like to stay on script. And you can tell Milk, he's a man of a mission. Like, I don't know if he was in military or not, but he's one of those people, yo, we go with the plan. We stick to the plan. Because when we deviate off the plan, that's when shit happens, and we could lose lives. We could get caught out there and everything gets fucked up. Stick to the plan. And Frenchie is a person that, if I don't feel comfortable in doing it that kind of way, I'm going to do it my way. And when his way don't work, plans unravel and there could be casualties to it. And you can't blame Milk for feeling that way, because it kind of happened. Even though Frenchie's heart was in the right place, it is what it is. But this is where they shine as a dramedy, because out of nowhere, Butcher has this whole speech about Spice Girls that is fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious. And when and it made sense, because he's like, yo, he said, do you know the Spice Girls, right? You know who the Spice Girls are? Yeah. But do you know what Scary Spice is doing, Sporty Spice is doing, this one? Basically, they're all doing insignificant things, and they're not at the height they were when they were together. And that was his argument. We're the Spice Girls. We can't do this without each other. We're great as a team. Us as individuals won't work. We'll be bumskis. We won't make no effect to this world. But when the Spice Girls get together, that's when the impact happens. And at some point, I think it was like a bird chirped through it. It was like the weirdest, most awkward thing. And I don't know if that was an accident or some shit, or they put it in there, but it kind of broke the tension at the right moment. And that's why I say when you get that the dramedy of it. You know what I'm saying? It's funny, but not, because at one point even Mook is looking at him like, what the fuck? But then when they figure it out, they like, dude, you make the worst like speeches. But guess what happens? They all roll out together. They have this, as diverse as their personalities are, there's a commonality between all of them in which their dysfunction is a function. If that even make any kind of sense, but it functions for how they operate, because they're all individual personalities. And at the end of the day, when you get to know them individually, even though the Butcher, we haven't gotten enough of his backstory, we all know that they're still human beings. They love, they care, you know, they do this because they feel like this is what they gotta do. Now let's get into my last pick, I'll say, was the fight in the train station. Actually, I got two more picks. But the fight in the train station was actually dope. That's when we started to see the super fight, the real scrap thing. A-Train, they followed her all the way to the subway. The Asian girl jumped off into the tracks and started running down there. You know, A-Train zoomed down there, and Frenchie was so on point for screaming out loud when A-Train went down there on the tracks, ran down there, and other people couldn't see, but he came down and saw like A-Train was whooping her ass and smacking her up against the wall, like busting her head. He was gonna crack her head open, and she was gonna handle all of that slams into the wall. No matter how durable she is, she's not as fast as him, and the way he's doing it, like he is the Flash, their version of the Flash. She wasn't gonna survive that shit. So all Frenchie did was say, yo, is that A-Train? And then everybody else was like, oh shit, that's A-Train. Can I get a selfie? Everybody in the subway. And now he's hearing that they know he's down there and they want to see him. And he's like, oh no, I can't really just be busting this chick head open. And because when the people start coming off the platform, because they all are poking their head down there to see what he was doing, they realize he's about to kill this chick. So he comes out and like, hey, I'll take some photos with you, motherfucker. Like, doing selfies with them, pop up like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And he got to fake the funk. And, you know, sis, she gets up and bounce, and, you know, they go chase her down. And again, Frenchie trying to be nice. Like, look, mama, I don't want to gas you. Like, you know, talk to me. I'll save you. I'll help you. And she jumps right on him. And she about to go to town, and yo, the Butcher shut that old shit down and just dropped the gas thing and gassed her down, and done that. And I'm not gonna lie, this was the best episode thus far for me. Episode 3. I feel like we're off to the races. I am so excited to see what's happening next. I need to start doing it right after I watch it. I didn't get a chance to do it right after I watched it. I ended up watching Black Mirror, and you're going to see that first episode of Black Mirror drop too. So we're just going to keep on having fun with it. Let me know if you guys out there, even though I don't get no views, I'm really not nobody right now, but share it amongst yourselves and let me know what you would like to see going forward. Since we're on vacation, I felt like trying out doing it episode by episode. I definitely will do it with Power, but what I will do is I might just do do half seasons. Go do the first half and then the second half and see how that works. I'm gonna probably do that with The Witcher for you guys. Just so I actually seen the first 4 episodes, but I'm gonna watch it all again in one sitting, and then I'm gonna go do a review for it. But let me know if you want me to do it episode by episode, because I find it fun like that. I'm gonna just figure out ways that I can do it where I can still break it up for you guys. So if you've never seen the series before, you could watch it and come back and watch it in between. I'm kind of like that with some of my YouTubers. I like to watch the show when I get to it. I used to do that with Grace Randolph's show, Beyond the Trailer. I used to watch, what is it, Daredevil, and then I'll watch her review right after it, and I'll watch the next Daredevil, watch her I find it fun like that. But needless to say, let's get into the nitpicks. Well, actually, no, one more pick. I got one more pick. I forgot it was the Deep. And it's just a funny thing for me. The Deep was talking to that dolphin that was like his friend. And that was the thing that didn't really stand out to me, his moment, in terms of like, you know, talking to his therapist and all of that. Because even though it lets you know a little bit more about him, they did, with so much other stuff going on, it's just like the high picks. But the one moment when my man was trying to save this dolphin because he felt like, you know what, that's who I am. I'm going to be who I am. I talk to fish. The fish are cool with me. I'm going to save them. I'm going to work on the ocean. He got shot down by the company Vought, but in his mind, he said, you know, I'm going to still do it anyway. He was trying to save that poor little dolphin, talking to that dolphin in the car. And then when the cops was chasing him, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know what I missed about why they was kind of coming at him. Like, I don't know what he was doing with the dolphin. Did he take it out of SeaWorld? I might have to watch this episode again. But it was just funny how he was talking to the dolphin. And I don't know if he had a relationship with the dolphin either. There was a joke in there earlier about that. Long story short, he's like, I'm gonna save you. I'm almost there to take you to the water. And when the cops tried to stop him, cut him off, he hit the brakes real tough. And if you notice the van, he had it hanging on a little straddle thing to hold the dolphin. So it was hanging from the roof, but on a cradle, like a hammock. So it was relatively swinging. It's on kind of on a hammock. So when he's driving mad fast in the van and all the cops are chasing him down, and he had a brake because he was almost there at the water, whatnot, getting towards the pier, whatnot. He hit the brake. Yo, that little dolphin flew so far, right past him in slow motion when he braked out the cradle or that little hammock thing that was keeping him secure. Went right through the front windshield, like in a car accident, and that shit bust through the front window, flew so far. Not only did that shit smack and hit the ground, I'm thinking, man, I mean, the dolphin might be all right. No. A car came by, ran right over that dolphin, had me dead. I was laughing. I was like, yo, I don't believe that shit just happened like that. That dolphin is gone. So, but that's what I'm talking about. They know how to balance all the intricacies of it, because it's also, for a dramedy, it's very smart, because it's also doing some sort of satire with it, with politics, and how politics can be leveraged against people and spun. You know what I mean? Like, it's actually a well-crafted script. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this is one to watch. Like, high-end superhero series. Any nitpicks for me? I'll be honest with you, I can't really nitpick apart anything at this moment right now. No. I think everything that actually happened in this series so far kind of worked for it. I mean, I can nitpick, like one thing that really does bother me is the Deeps. So it looks so cheese sometimes, like up close, like from far away, the way they paint it and the way it's shot, it looks darker and deeper and more textured. So for it to be, you can tell that it's not of the highest quality. It's still kind of decently high-end cosplay. You might see a cosplay with so much more time and effort into it and passion, makes something a lot better looking and convincing. But the Deep, it suits, when you go up on it, it does look like a suit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a suit. So that was something that I noticed. At least I personally noticed. And I think that's the only genuine nitpick I may really have about this episode. Because this episode, I didn't see anything that seemed irrational to the story that I can nitpick on, or you would even have time to expound upon, or should have been expounded upon in this episode. I mean, I think I will probably find more nitpicks when I get to the very end, and if there's any type of plot holes or certain things that I felt like they could have really got a lot better in moments. But as it stands, there is not much more you could really nitpick about episode 3 because we're still getting to know them. But I think by episode 4, that's when we're going to really get to the stakes of it. Well, there's high stakes in it now, but we're still kind of, combing through things. There's V. Okay, now V is a player in this. Now it's all about what goes on around him, and I think because it's so much more focused on character development, then that's where you're going to have to look for. I won't say look for per se, but that's where you'll probably see where certain things could have probably helped push the story along. And like I said, those will be nitpicks. It's not like I'll lose my mind over it, But that's when we get there. But to be honest, my biggest nitpick about that episode, because I noticed when he was talking to the psychiatrist, was the Deep's costume. It didn't irk me to all shit, but it, like, when you get up close on it, it's like, I don't think you just need to be just up on his costume too much. That shit looked like cheese after a while. Like you can kind of tell, like, I could get away with it from far, but when you walk up on it, you can kind of tell. It's like, why would you, if you were swimming, dude, like, I don't even think that would work for you. Like any kind of, it's not even an armor, it's nothing. It look like you just, like a rubber glove with texture on it to make it look like it's so much more than what it actually is, like what they're doing with the new costumes. But at the end of the day, I still liked what I saw. I think it's an excellent series, to be quite frank. My personal theory is I think the V is a derivative of her. I don't know if they process it out of her blood or whatnot, but there's a reason they keep her in a cage like that. Because otherwise, why wouldn't you just put her ass down? They need her alive for a reason. And I think it's because something maybe about her blood or whatever, where she produces it in some sort of fashion. She might be closely associated with the V, even if she's held as hostage for someone that manufacture it and bring it to him, so he can flip it on out however he does it. At the end of the day, I really still do believe that. I still do believe that she has a direct, close association towards the V drug. And we'll see in the next episode. We got 6 more to go, and we got nothing but time nowadays. So, like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, till I have a better outro, chill.